All right, let's take this thing for a spin. Now what's nice is you have a little bit of a side step, so helps get up into this thing a little bit easier. And what's so cool is something that I really appreciate is when you put the key in, watch this. Did you see that? That's so cool. I remember that from like the old Lexus LS 400s. That's like a key feature that you get in that car, and that's supposed to be like one of the most luxurious cars you can get. So getting that in like a camper van is pretty cool. And for those wondering about the engine specs, this is actually not a gasoline engine, but rather a diesel. So when you hear it fire up, it may sound a little bit bizarre if you're not used to it. But it fires right up, and it's got a digital gauge, which is so cool. I mean, isn't this just like something that you should see in a new car, but you're seeing this from a 90s camper van? And I know this isn't completely stock. This is some sort of aftermarket stereo that's been implemented into the car. But one thing that I did want to mention is it's very strange, the driving position. So you have like the steering column coming out, but the brake pedal is so tiny and it's right next to the gas. So definitely like a little bit of a learning curve there when you're first getting into this car. And I hope I'm doing this any justice because it is a little bit crammed in here. But if you can see my feet, this is where the gas and the brakes are. And of course you have your dead pedal on the left. So let's take this thing for a spin. Well, you can go. It's pretty cozy up front. I would say if you're you know, a little bit on the more huskier side, you may want to try getting into one of these first if in the event you wanted to, you know, ship this car internationally or something like that, just to make sure you fit. Because even for somebody that's a pretty average size human, it does feel a little bit like it could get a little too narrow for some people. And it is so strange driving on the opposite side. This is my first time driving a right-hand drive car, so bear with me here as if maybe I'm just driving a little bit slower than usual, but I just want to make sure we take good care of this car. And you know, the difference is, especially with a gasoline versus a diesel, is the diesel is going to be much torquier. You will lose a little bit of power like in the top end, but your towing capability is going to be much, much better. I think that's what's going to be super important with something like this. Let's see how she does. Going straight uphill, this is a perfect example for this. Really get to feel the torque. And I just can't get over how cool this odometer is. It really makes the driving experience so cool. And frankly, it feels a lot more comfortable than I thought it was going to be driving on the right-hand side of the road. It's just what you're doing is, instead of using the left side as like your measurement of how far away you are from the curb, you have to use the opposite side. So you kind of have to get used to that. And especially making left-hand turns, I feel like could be nightmarish, especially if you can't see on like this side of what's going on. But God, what an experience. This is so cool. And it sits so tall and it's super spacious and comfortable. I can imagine this if you had like a whole family or just like a bunch of your buddies in the back. Like this would just be the dream. You just be cruising on the highway in this thing. And with the off-road KO2s, you don't really feel much of the knobbiness from the tires, which I'm really glad to feel, because I thought maybe, you know, it'd be a little concerning with extra knobby tires on a car like this, but you don't feel a thing. It really just glides. The suspension is definitely on the softer side, which is not a bad thing at all. But let's oh, turn signals are on the opposite side. That's so bizarre. Okay, we'll have to get used to that. I almost turned on the windshield wipers instead. I did not mean to do that. Because I was going here to try and signal right, but it wasn't doing anything. I thought I broke it. But actually, the turn signals are on this side. So, something to get used to. Now this will be the ultimate test, being in a right-hand drive car and making sure I don't hit the cyclist that's to the right of me. And of course he's doing no hands too. My God. Okay, we're good, we're good. Oh yeah, you could get used to right-hand drive super easily. I mean, it's not as intimidating as I thought it was gonna be. Oh, I turned on the windshield wipers. No! No!